I checked the last prescription at the hospital pharmacy and glanced at the clock. 3 in the afternoon. Right on time. Today is Thanksgiving. I finished work earlier than usual for dinner with my family. Carol, good work today. It's a special day, isn't it? My colleague Martha called out. Yes, we're having a family dinner for the first time in a while, I replied as I took off my white coat. I'm Caroline West. I've worked as a hospital pharmacist for over 10 years. This responsible job suits my personality. Mixing medications, explaining side effects, providing careful attention to patients. I enjoy attending to details and take pride in contributing to someone's health. As I grabbed my bag in the staff room, I mentally reviewed tonight's dinner menu. Roast turkey, potato gratin, pumpkin pie. I started the preparations yesterday and got up early this morning to prepare the turkey. Thanksgiving is a special day for me. It's one of the few occasions when family gathers together. While driving, I recalled when my mother Judith married my stepfather Walter 8 years ago. It was 5 years after my father passed away. I was hesitant at first, but seeing how happy my mother was, I accepted him. However, I feel the family atmosphere began to change little by little from that time. Especially with my sister Ashley, our values no longer aligned. Unlike me, she's sociable and loves being in the spotlight. With over 100,000 Instagram followers, she works as an influencer. For her, success is measured by the number of likes and follower growth rate. For me, a simple thank you from a patient means everything. I stopped by the supermarket to pick up cranberry sauce I'd forgotten. After checking out, my phone rang. It was Mom. I have an urgent matter to attend to. Ashley's friend has an emergency. I might be late for dinner today. But I've prepared everything already. What time will you be coming? I don't know. I'm so sorry. But I'll definitely be there. I hung up and sighed. This happens a lot lately. The emergency consultation is probably about Ashley's social media troubles. Or perhaps it's a tea party with one of Mom's social circle friends. Either way, these things increasingly take priority over family commitments. When I got home, I immediately started finishing the cooking. I put the turkey in the oven, prepared the side dishes, and set the table. My stepfather Walter was away on a business trip, but at least Mom and my sister were supposed to come. I carefully set the table for 3. Oh, I forgot to add cinnamon, I remembered and started putting the finishing touches on the pumpkin pie. While the pie was in the oven, I lit the fireplace in the living room. Outside the window, it was already getting dark. The time was 5:30. 30 minutes until our agreed time. Back in the kitchen, I took out the turkey. It was nicely browned. Ashley likes the breast meat, and Mom prefers the leg. I remember that. After letting it rest sufficiently, I started carving. Time passed. At 7 o'clock, no one had arrived. I called several times, but neither Mom nor Ashley answered. She said they'd be late, but not this late. By 7:30, the food was starting to get cold. Just then, the doorbell rang. Thinking they had finally arrived, I hurried to the door. But when I opened it, no one was there. Instead, an envelope was placed in front of the door. The letter inside, in Mom's handwriting, read, "We went to the upscale restaurant, the Grand. Enjoy your dinner alone." Confused, I read the letter over and over. I couldn't understand what was happening. We went to the upscale restaurant, the Grand. I couldn't believe it. After I had started preparations a week ago and cooked all morning for this Thanksgiving dinner, they went to an upscale restaurant. And why leave a letter like this? As I tried to organize my thoughts in my confused state, suddenly I heard giggling coming from the living room closet. The next moment, the closet door burst open, and Mom Judith and my sister Ashley jumped out, laughing hysterically. "Did you see her face?" Ashley howled with laughter, holding up her cell phone. She really read it. She believed it. Mom was laughing so hard she was holding her stomach. I stood frozen, my mind going blank. The laughter seemed to be coming from far away. My feet felt rooted to the floor, I couldn't move. It took me a while to understand what was happening. "Prank success!" Ashley exclaimed happily, raising both hands. She was still holding her smartphone, continuing to film me. I could see "live stream" displayed on the screen with a red dot blinking. That blinking dot seemed to burn into my eyes, feeling like my only connection to reality. "What's going on?" My voice finally emerged. Still, my mind was desperately trying to understand the situation. The words came out as if being squeezed from my throat. I was still clutching the torn letter. "This is a prank for Ashley's YouTube channel," Mom explained, catching her breath. "The new episode in her Pranking Family series. This time it's a Thanksgiving special." Her face was glowing with joy. The perfect smile she always shows in social circles. That smile now seemed cruel to me. Meanwhile, Ashley turned the camera toward herself and began talking. Like flipping a switch, she shifted into her usual influencer tone. "Everyone, thank you for watching. Today's target is my serious sister, Carol." She turned the camera back to me. "Happy lonely Thanksgiving. This is definitely going to go viral." Her voice was elated. She must be happy that the viewer count was increasing. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of strangers on the other side of that camera were enjoying my confusion and distress at this very moment. The thought made my chest ache. Mom continued excitedly, "This is my first time helping with Ashley's project. What do you think?" Surprised. She peered into my face, expecting a reaction. "Isn't this fun? Everyone's enjoying it." Complex emotions were swirling in my head. Shock, confusion, and gradually rising anger. I quietly stared at the letter. The menu I had planned a week ago. The shopping 3 days before. The turkey I started preparing for this morning. It was all for this farce. I felt something breaking inside me. "Carol." "Say something," Mom said, looking slightly anxious. Everyone is waiting for Carol's reaction. There was a hint of impatience in her voice. She must be unhappy about not getting the expected response. Impatience that the performance on this staged set wasn't going as planned. I observed this calmly. Ashley, holding the camera in one hand, lightly tapped my shoulder with the other. "Wasn't that funny? If I get more followers from this, I might get more sponsorship deals." "Thanks to you, sis." There was genuine joy in her voice. For her, this must be a truly happy moment. Social media ratings, follower count, and the resulting contracts and income. The center of her values. Yet so far removed from mine. I silently stared at the letter in my hand. Then, slowly, I tore it in two with both hands. The ripping sound echoed in the quiet living room. It sounded like something being torn apart inside my heart. "What are you doing?" Ashley cried with wide eyes. "You're ruining the pre-edited footage." There was genuine surprise in her voice. She hadn't expected me to react this way. She had expected her usual compliant, understanding sister. The sister who always endured and smiled. I dropped the torn pieces of paper on the floor. Taking a deep breath, I chose my words as calmly as possible. But my voice trembled a little. I was trying to contain my anger, but emotions were still welling up. "Did you two ever think about how I would feel?" I said in a quiet but angry voice. "Do you know I spent weeks preparing for this day? I woke up at 4 in the morning to cook. Looking at the food getting cold before me, I counted the time in my mind. 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, all wasted time. Not just the time, but also the expectations and love I had put into it. But that's what makes the prank funny, Ashley retorted, looking a bit irritated. Everyone, this is my sister. She has such a rigid personality that she can't even take a little joke. She continued filming. Her words hurt. Rigid personality. That had always been the assessment of me. Too serious, inflexible, unable to take a joke. But this went beyond a joke. A joke? My voice rose involuntarily. I pointed to the table. Look. The food I prepared for you. Turkey, gratin, pumpkin pie, all cold now. My voice was shaking. More from deep sadness than anger. The feeling of alienation and being misunderstood that I had felt for years was about to burst forth all at once. Mom's expression became troubled. Carol, don't be so angry. We planned to eat together after the prank was over. There was a hint of regret in her voice. She must have begun to realize things weren't going in the direction she had expected. But it was too late. Something had changed decisively within me. Really? I laughed sarcastically. You planned to eat cold food after Ashley's video was over. You thought that no matter how shocked I was, everything would be forgiven if I smiled and said, surprised. I said this with a smile, but my eyes weren't smiling. Deep down, I felt this was the limit. Years of patience had reached its breaking point tonight. Ashley shot back without lowering the camera, you're overreacting. It's just a little prank between family members. This is entertainment. Can't you understand that? There was a trace of irritation in her voice. Frustration that things weren't going as planned. Anxiety that she might not be able to entertain her viewers. I wondered if she truly saw me as her sister behind that voice. Entertainment? I said quietly. Trampling on my feelings and broadcasting it to the world to be mocked. That's your idea of entertainment? Mom tried to intervene. Carol, calm down. Ashley didn't mean any harm. Let's all laugh and put this behind us. There was urgency in her voice. She expected me to give in as usual. As always, she expected me to endure for the sake of family harmony. I suddenly realized that this relationship dynamic had become the norm. I looked out the living room window. It was completely dark outside. Thanksgiving night. A special night I was supposed to spend with family. But now, being in this house felt suffocating. Somehow, the darkness outside seemed comforting. That's enough, I said quietly. I won't be a part of your game anymore. Those words felt like a farewell to years of this relationship. Not just to tonight's prank, but to the entire family dynamic. I headed to the entryway, took my coat from the rack, and quickly put it on, then moved toward the door. My hands were shaking slightly, but my resolve was firm. Wait, where are you going? Mom asked in a surprised voice. For the first time, I heard genuine concern in her voice. Not the usual act, but real emotion. But it was too late. I'm going out, I answered, my hand on the doorknob. You're kidding, right? Ashley laughed. This isn't something to get so upset about. She still didn't understand the seriousness of the situation. Or perhaps she didn't want to understand. I opened the door without looking back. The cold night air hit my face. That coldness actually felt good. Wait. Mom's voice came from behind. For the first time, there was panic in her voice. The filming is over now. Come back, let's reheat the food. Ashley also seemed flustered. Sis, are you serious? It's Thanksgiving. A day to spend with family, right? What ironic words. After all, they had planned a prank to leave me alone on a day meant to be spent with family. I laughed a little at the contradiction deep in my heart. Hey! It was just a joke. Come back. Mom chased me to the door and shouted. But I didn't look back. I started walking into the darkness of the night. From behind, I could hear Ashley's hurried voice saying, ending the live stream, and Mom's shouts. The cold night air caressed my cheeks. I hadn't decided where to go yet. I just wanted to get away from that house. Inside, I felt a mix of anger and sadness. The discomfort I had felt for years, the difference in values, and tonight's events. All of it was swirling in my chest. As I walked, strangely, no tears came. Rather, there was a sense of liberation. Like being released from a long-held burden. I continued walking aimlessly. In the quiet residential area lit only by moonlight. On Thanksgiving night, warm light and laughter leaked from the windows of each home. That only highlighted my loneliness. My feet were getting cold. The late November night in Michigan was colder than I had thought. I turned up my coat collar and shoved my hands in my pockets, but the chill in my heart wouldn't go away. When I left the house, I acted on anger, but as I walked, various emotions began to intersect. Sadness, embarrassment, and a strange sense of liberation. The long-felt disconnect with my family had taken shape in tonight's events. Where should I go? I asked myself. There were hardly any cafes or restaurants open at this hour. Should I look for a hotel, or... Suddenly, I remembered a message I received 3 days ago. An invitation to a Thanksgiving party from my college friend Christine. I declined saying, I'm spending it with family, but now that's ironically not the case. I stopped in front of a nearby convenience store and took out my smartphone. I noticed it had been on silent mode in my bag. The screen displayed a list of missed calls from Mom and Ashley. Ignoring them, I opened my messages with Christine. I'm having a Thanksgiving party. Would you like to come? Some familiar faces will be there. I hesitated whether I should reply. Would it be intrusive to ask to join now? But I had no other options. Taking a deep breath, I started typing. Christine, good evening. This is sudden, but if it's still possible, may I join your party? The moment I hit send, regret hit me. Contacting someone I had declined, at this hour. I stared at the screen, hoping for no reply. But a response came immediately. Of course, come on over. Everyone will be happy to see you. Did something happen? Tears welled up in my eyes. I was touched by Christine's kindness. I briefly explained the situation, confirmed the address, and replied, I'll head over now. I debated calling a taxi but learned it was about a 20-minute walk, so I decided to walk. Moving would help clear my head. As I walked, I thought about my relationship with my family over the years. After Mom remarried, the family atmosphere gradually changed. My stepfather Walter isn't a bad person, but his arrival changed the family balance. Mom took on a new role as Walter's wife in social circles, and her time with me decreased. Ashley became popular on social media and grew even more distant from the family. Before I knew it, I felt like I was the only one maintaining the old family values. Remembering family birthdays, gathering for holidays, showing interest in each other's lives. Such ordinary things had somehow become my sole responsibility. When I arrived at Christine's apartment, bright light and laughter were spilling from the windows. Before ringing the doorbell, I hesitated for a moment. Is it really okay for me to come here? But there was no turning back now. Taking a deep breath, I rang the bell. When the door opened, Christine's smiling face greeted me. Carol! You made it. She hugged me and invited me in. What happened? It was difficult to explain on the phone. It's a long story, I began to say, when cheers erupted from the living room. Familiar faces called out to me one after another. Emily, Mark, Lisa, friends from college days. They had all changed, but their smiles were just as I remembered. I didn't think you would come. You said you had dinner with your family, Lisa said. There was a change of plans, I answered vaguely. I didn't want to go into details. Christine tactfully changed the subject. I'm just glad you came. Here, take a plate. There's still plenty of food. The dining table was filled with Thanksgiving dishes. Turkey, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, very similar to what I had prepared at home. Yet here, it was warm and welcoming. How ironic. Who made this? It looks delicious, I asked. Oh, that's James's work, Christine pointed to a man working in the kitchen. He's a chef. He's preparing to open a restaurant. James turned around and smiled. A man in his mid-30s with kind eyes. Are you Carol? Christine's famous friend. Do you like the food? It's lovely, I replied. Perfect even from a professional's perspective. Professional? He asked with interest. No, I'm a pharmacist. But cooking is my hobby. That's an interesting combination, he smiled. Pharmacist knowledge and cooking, we could have interesting discussions about healthy eating. That conversation sparked an engaging discussion about cooking and health. James was interested in adding healthy twists to traditional recipes. The restaurant I'm planning to open will offer food that's both delicious and healthy, he spoke passionately. As we talked, I was able to temporarily forget about my family. Time with friends, new encounters, and the warm atmosphere. It was a comfort I hadn't felt in a long time. Let's take a photo. Christine approached with her smartphone. She captured me, James, Emily, and Mark in one photo. The best Thanksgiving with the best friends, she captioned it and uploaded it to social media. Is that okay? She later checked with me. Normally, I would have objected to personal photos being posted on social media, but tonight was different. Of course, I answered. The party continued until late at night. Nostalgic conversations, new stories, laughter, and reminiscing. It was a night when I felt young and free again after a long time. When I finally left, James handed me his business card. If you're interested, I'd like to discuss menu development for the restaurant. I think a pharmacist's perspective would be valuable. I couldn't help but smile as I took his card. It was an unexpected encounter, but somehow it felt natural. Meanwhile, hours after I left home, Mom and Ashley were spending an uneasy time at the house. It's been 4 hours. I wonder where she went, Mom said, looking out the window. She was really upset. Ashley sat on the sofa, working her smartphone. I never thought Sis would do something like this. There was an unusual hint of regret in her voice. I deleted the video, but it had already been viewed thousands of times. The comments section is a mess. I don't care about the video right now. Mom said irritably. I'm worried about Carol. Where could she have gone on such a cold night? Ashley stopped scrolling on her smartphone. Oh. What? Mom turned around. Is this Carol? Ashley showed the screen to her mother. A photo posted on Christine's social media. Carol smiling, surrounded by friends. The caption read, "The best Thanksgiving with the best friends." #TrueFriendsgiving. Mom was speechless seeing the photo. Carol, she's smiling. Ashley bit her lip. My prank is ruined. She muttered, but was immediately scolded by her mother. This is not the time to think about that. Mom said sharply. Think about what we did to Carol. We ruined her precious Thanksgiving. And for what? Your social media. Ashley unusually did not argue back and fell silent. "I'll try calling her," she said, tapping Carol's number. No answer, she sighed. "Any messages?" Mom asked. "Not read," Ashley answered. Mom moved away from the window and sank onto the sofa. "What have we done?" As the night deepened, unread messages and missed calls from Mom and Ashley piled up on Carol's smartphone. But she was surrounded by new and old friends, feeling a warmth she had forgotten for a long time. After leaving Christine's apartment and heading to a hotel, I felt strangely fulfilled. It should have been a night away from family, but it was also a night when I found something. As I waited for a taxi, someone called from behind. Turning around, I saw James approaching, slightly out of breath. "Can we talk for a moment?" He seemed a bit nervous. "We got caught up in cooking talk earlier, but there's more I'd like to ask you." His expression under the streetlight seemed sincere and honest. "Actually, I trained in French and Italian cuisine in New York. But after returning home, I want to open a restaurant with a slightly different concept," he began enthusiastically. "Healthy and delicious food. That's my goal." "That sounds wonderful," I smiled. "So," he continued with slight hesitation, "I'd like your advice as a pharmacist for healthy recipes. Like a menu development consultant." I was surprised by the sudden offer. "Me? But I'm not a nutritionist." "That's precisely what I like," he said eagerly. "Pharmacists have deep knowledge about how the body works and the effects of nutrients. And from our conversation today, I can tell you're passionate about cooking. It's a perfect combination." His serious expression moved my heart. While I had worked as a hospital pharmacist for many years, it's true I had been feeling a bit of routine lately. A new challenge. It was appealing. "I'll think about it," I replied, and he smiled happily. "Here's my contact information," he handed me a card from his pocket. "Please get in touch." When the taxi arrived and we said goodbye, my mind was already full of his proposal. Lying on the hotel bed, I reflected on the night's events. My Thanksgiving plans were ruined, but there was an unexpected encounter. The next morning, seeing the mountain of missed calls and messages on my smartphone, I sighed. Messages of concern from Mom, mixed apologies and excuses from Ashley. I hesitated whether to reply, but I wasn't emotionally ready yet. Instead, I took out James's card and looked at his email address. Remembering his enthusiasm from last night, I took the plunge and sent an email. "James, thank you for last night. Could you tell me more about your proposal?" The reply came surprisingly quickly. "Carol. Thanks for your message. Could we talk this weekend at my test kitchen? I'm trying some new recipes." That weekend, I visited James's test kitchen. It was a small space behind an old cafe owned by his uncle. There he was working on developing new health-conscious menu items. "This is a low-carb quinoa risotto. This is a gluten-free carrot cake," he introduced dishes one after another. "But I want to incorporate more medicinally effective ingredients. Like turmeric with anti-inflammatory properties." As I tasted his food, I began offering advice drawing on my pharmaceutical knowledge. "Curcumin is fat-soluble, so using it with black pepper increases absorption rate." His eyes lit up. That's exactly the kind of knowledge I wanted. From that day, our collaboration began. I spent weekends in James's test kitchen and researched healthy recipes after work at the hospital on weekdays. One day, James suggested, "Carol, why don't you start your own blog? A blog about healthy cooking from a pharmacist's perspective. I'm sure there would be interest." Though hesitant at first, with his encouragement, I launched a blog called Pharma Food. I began sharing healthy recipes utilizing pharmacological knowledge, medicinal effects of ingredients, and information about food-drug interactions. Unexpectedly, the blog gradually gained popularity. There was particularly strong response from people with chronic conditions and allergies. A series of articles titled Basics of Dietary Therapy Taught by a Pharmacist was especially well received. My relationship with James deepened as well. His restaurant plans progressed steadily, and I began spending not just weekends but also weekday evenings in the kitchen. Something beyond a mere work partnership was beginning to blossom between us. "Carol, I'd like you to officially become my restaurant's co-manager," he said with a serious expression one day. "Your knowledge and passion are essential to this project." My heart leaped at the offer. But there was also anxiety. "But I'm a pharmacist. I have no experience in restaurant management." "It's my first time too," he laughed. "But I think we can make it work together." After long consideration, I made a big decision. I reduced my work as a hospital pharmacist to 3 days a week and devoted the rest of my time to restaurant preparations. Several months later, everything was ready for the opening of Healthy Delight. The interior was a bright, open space, with walls decorated with beautiful graphics about the medicinal effects of ingredients. The menu featured special dishes I had developed using my knowledge as a pharmacist. Grilled salmon rich in omega-3, turmeric and ginger energy smoothie, berry dessert full of antioxidants. I could now confidently explain the menu. The night before opening, James and I sat in the restaurant, toasting to our new life starting tomorrow. A year ago, on that Thanksgiving night, I couldn't have imagined this future awaiting me, I said reflectively. He smiled gently. "Sometimes life takes unexpected turns. But that's wonderful if it's in a good direction." The first day of opening was more successful than expected. The restaurant was filled with blog readers and health-conscious locals. The concept of a health restaurant supervised by a pharmacist seemed to interest many people. And 3 months after opening, a local newspaper featured Healthy Delight as an innovative health restaurant. That article caught the attention of a local TV station. I got an email from the producer of Michigan Morning, I excitedly reported to James one morning. "They want to feature our restaurant." "Really? That's wonderful news." He hugged me. In his warmth, I felt gratitude for the changes of this past year. In meetings with the TV station, we settled on a feature called Healthy and Delicious Food by a Former Pharmacist. "Your story will captivate viewers," the producer said. "From pharmacy to kitchen. A wonderful career change." As the recording date approached, my nervousness increased. But with James's support, I could overcome it. "Carol, you've really changed," he said gently the night before recording. "You're much more confident than when I first met you." "Thanks to you," I replied. "For showing me new possibilities." The next morning, while cooking in front of TV cameras, I talked about my new life. By applying my knowledge as a pharmacist to cooking, I can contribute to people's health. That's my new passion. The recording was successful and the program was scheduled to air that weekend. That same day, Ashley was scrolling on her smartphone while watching TV on the sofa. Suddenly, a familiar face appeared on screen in a local TV station preview. "Mom!" Ashley shouted. "Look! It's Sis." Judith rushed out from the kitchen. "What did you say?" It was indeed Caroline on the screen. Wearing an apron with a confident expression, she was speaking to viewers. "My knowledge as a pharmacist will change your dining table. Healthy and delicious food by a former pharmacist." Ashley read the caption. "Sis is going to be on TV." Judith was speechless. The last contact had been months ago. Just a brief exchange of messages, with no details about what Caroline was doing. "Carol has a restaurant," Judith muttered in disbelief. Ashley immediately began searching on her smartphone. "Healthy Delight, here it is. Sis's name is listed as co-owner." The two looked at each other. Since that Thanksgiving night, Caroline's life had changed dramatically. Mornings at Healthy Delight start early. The day begins with the aroma of preparations. 3 months after the TV appearance, the restaurant's popularity continued to rise steadily. Regular customers increased, and weekends were fully booked. "Carol, coffee," James handed me a mug across the counter. Such casual thoughtfulness created everyday happiness. "Thank you," I smiled as I took it. In the quiet restaurant before opening, I was thinking about today's special menu. My smartphone vibrated on the table. A message notification. Looking at the screen, I caught my breath. It was from Ashley. "It's been a while. Could we meet?" Though brief, it stirred my heart. Since my TV appearance, there had been several contacts from Mom, but this was the first direct contact from Ashley. "What's wrong?" James noticed my change in expression and asked. "A message from my sister." He came out from behind the counter and sat beside me. "Will you reply?" I sighed. "Yes. Maybe I should meet her." Nearly a year and a half had passed since that Thanksgiving night. Most of the anger and sadness had been replaced by the fulfillment of my new life. But the relationship with my family remained unresolved. Perhaps it was something I needed to face eventually. My meeting with Ashley was at a cafe in the city, intended as neutral ground. But the moment she walked in, I remembered this was an Instagram-worthy spot she frequently used. So that's why she chose this place. "Carol," she approached with a slightly nervous demeanor. It wasn't her usual confident walk or way of speaking. She also appeared thinner than before. "Ashley," I stood up and lightly kissed her cheek. On the surface, a normal reunion between sisters. But the air between us was heavy. "It's been a while," she said as she sat down. "I saw you on TV. You've changed a lot." "Have I?" I answered calmly. My inner feelings were complex, but I was careful not to show my emotions. After talking about the weather and other trivial matters, Ashley finally got to the point. "Actually, I have something to tell you," she said, staring at her coffee cup. "Since that Thanksgiving, a lot has happened." Her voice had an unusual vulnerability to it. "That prank video, it backfired." At first, there were responses like, "Funny," but gradually criticism increased. "It's an act of betrayal to family, using your sister for views." She gave a bitter smile. In the end, several sponsorship contracts were terminated, and my channel subscribers decreased. My Pranking Family series was completely cancelled. I listened silently. Words of sympathy she might expect didn't come. "Mom had a hard time too," she continued. The video story spread among her social circle friends, her reputation suffered. "Using your daughter as material." Walter became sullen about it too. "So?" I asked calmly. "What do you expect from me?" Ashley flinched at the direct question. We want to be a family again," she said with a serious expression. "Mom wants to see you too. This Thanksgiving, we want to properly spend it as a family." Family. I pondered the word. Until a year and a half ago, that word meant everything to me. But now? "Ashley, I'll be honest," I said gently but firmly. "I've found a new life. I want to call people who truly care about me my family." Her expression clouded. "Are you saying we're not family?" "We have blood ties, but that night, you didn't try to understand my feelings. You used me as a tool to increase viewer numbers. Is that what family does?" Ashley was at a loss for words. "I'll accept if you've come to apologize for hurting me. But let's go back to how things were, is impossible. I've changed, and there's no place to go back to." "But..." Tears welled up in Ashley's eyes. "I'm really sorry. I know what I did that day is irreparable. But I took a deep breath. I can forgive, but I can't forget. That's my honest feeling. As we parted, Ashley said with an unusually sincere expression, "Can I come to your restaurant?" Of course, I smiled. "Make a reservation. It's a popular place." She looked a bit surprised but quickly nodded. "I understand. I'll tell Mom too." 2 weeks after my conversation with Ashley, I received a message from Mom. "Carol, I heard from Ashley. I'm truly happy about your success. If possible, I'd like to visit your restaurant." After consulting with James, I replied, "I can prepare a table for you next Tuesday at lunchtime." And the second Thanksgiving since that night. Exactly 2 years had passed. This year, we were offering a special menu at Healthy Delight. With the concept of healthy adaptations of traditional Thanksgiving dishes, reservations were already full. On a busy morning of preparations, James called me to a corner of the kitchen. "Can I have a moment?" Noticing his tense expression, I became concerned. "What's wrong?" He took a small box from his pocket. I wasn't sure if this was the right timing, but opening the box revealed a beautiful engagement ring. "Carol, will you marry me?" It was a breathtaking moment. Yes, of course, tears rolled down my cheeks. That evening, Mom and Ashley had reservations at the restaurant. When I stood before them at their special table, I showed them the ring gleaming on my left ring finger. "Actually, I got proposed to this morning." My goodness. Mom stood up with a surprised expression and moved to hug me. I hesitated for a moment but accepted it. Ashley joined, and the three of us embraced. Still, we couldn't return to our previous intimacy. While the relationship was healing on the surface, there was a deep divide inside. Even so, in these 2 years, I had learned. People change. Relationships change. And that's okay. The restaurant now has plans for a second location. Life with James was fulfilling. I no longer need to live according to someone else's expectations. I'm walking my own path, on my own feet. Ironically, that Thanksgiving prank became a turning point in my life. I lost some things, but what I gained was far greater. Now, I truly give thanks in the real sense. For having the courage to leave the house that night. And for choosing a new life.